Captain Taewon Park stood by the large window of the spaceship UES Dauntless. He watched the black alien ship hanging over the moon base. The ship was dark and seemed to swallow all light around it. The aliens had come 3 days ago. They had sent a message 2 days ago, surrender or die. "Tell me what's happening," Taewon said. His voice was calm, even though everyone on the bridge was scared. Lieutenant Han-Yul Kim looked up from her screen. "Nothing has changed, Captain. They are still above Armstrong City. They haven't sent any more messages since they told us to surrender." Reports said these aliens, called Raxicorians, had taken over 12 other star systems before coming to Earth. They always did the same thing, show how strong they were, then take over the planet using as few resources as possible. They never talked or made deals. "Any news from headquarters?" Taewon asked. Commander Ji-hoon Baek shook his head. "Admiral Cho is still working on our defense plan. We must stay here and wait for orders." Taewon nodded, thinking hard. No one knew much about the Raxicorians' bodies. The little information they had said the aliens could see very well, especially heat signals. This made them very good hunters. Their hard outer shells were like wearing light armor all the time, but every living thing had weak spots, and humans had spent their whole history learning how to find them. "We're getting a message," said Communications Officer Yoon-ji Kang, her fingers moving quickly on her controls. "It's from the main alien ship." The big screen turned on, showing the alien leader. It was very tall, almost 7 feet, with a body made of segments and eyes that looked like cut gems. The eyes seemed cold and smart. "Humans," the computer translated its clicking sounds. "Your defenses are weak. Your technology is simple. This is your last chance to give up before we attack." Taewon fixed his uniform and stepped forward. "This is Captain Park of the United Earth Forces. We want to talk about ways to avoid killing on both sides." The aliens' mouth parts moved in what the crew knew was their way of laughing. "There is nothing to talk about. We have studied your kind and decided you are only good for working and for your planet's resources. Fighting back is a waste of time?" "Maybe," Taewon said calmly. "But humans might surprise you." The screen went black. Taewon turned to his crew. "They don't know humans like we do," he said seriously. "And they have no idea what we can do." In her room, Major Soo-yeon Choi was finishing work on her special hiding suit. As the leader of the UEF Special Operations Tactical Division, she had been making this camouflage technology for years. The aliens didn't know that Earth had been getting ready for space threats since they first picked up radio signals from space many years ago. "Let's show them what we can do," she said quietly to her team. "Operation Shadow starts now." Down in the ship's training room, Soo-yeon watched her 6 team members practicing with their new suits. The suits changed color and texture to match anything around them. They also hid body heat and made no sound when moving. "Remember," she told them, "these aliens think they're the best hunters in the galaxy. But on Earth, humans have been both the hunters and the hunted. We know how to hide better than any species." Sergeant Dae-Hun-yu raised his hand. "Major, will these suits really work against their eyes? The reports say they can see heat and movement better than any human technology." Soo-yeon nodded. "Good question. Our suits don't just hide heat. They create false heat signatures around you. The aliens will see what looks like warm pipes or machine parts, not people." She turned on a screen showing a detailed map of the alien mothership. Intelligence teams had been studying it since it arrived. "Our job is to get in, learn their weaknesses, and get out. No fighting unless we have to." Lieutenant Junho Shin, the team's tech expert, pointed to a spot on the map. "Their main computer should be here. If I can connect to it, I can copy their battle plans and ship designs. And I can study their weapon systems," added Corporal Mi-cha Kang. She was the team's weapons specialist. Soo-yeon checked her watch. "We leave in 3 hours. The Dauntless will get close enough to the alien ship for us to use the small stealth pods. Once inside, we'll have 6 hours to complete the mission before the pickup." Back on the bridge, Captain Taewon was talking with Admiral Seung-ho Cho on a secure channel. "The Shadow team is ready, Admiral. But this is a big risk. If the aliens Catch them. Admiral Cho's face was serious on the screen. Then Earth falls anyway, Captain. We know their technology is better than ours. Our only chance is to use what humans have always been good at: adaptation and surprise. Taewon looked at a photo on his desk. It showed him with Suyan and the rest of the Shadow team after training. They had been friends for years. Now he was sending them into extreme danger. "The stealth pods are ready, Captain," reported Commander Ji-hoon. "Shadow team is in final preparation." In the launch bay, Suyan and her team were doing last checks on their equipment. Each person carried only what they absolutely needed: specialized tools, small weapons with silencers, and data collection devices. "Remember," Suyan said as they climbed into the small black pods, "humans have been hiding from predators since we lived in caves. It's in our blood. These aliens may be advanced, but they've never hunted anything as tricky as humans." The 6 pods launched silently from the Dauntless, their special coating absorbing radar and light. They looked like small pieces of space debris as they floated toward the massive alien ship. Inside her pod, Suyan thought about Earth's long history. Humans had survived by learning to hide, to adapt, to use their environment. From cave paintings, showing hunters in animal skins, to modern soldiers in digital camouflage, hiding had kept humans alive for thousands of years. The aliens had no idea what was coming. As the pods attached to the alien ship's hull like tiny parasites, Suyan activated her suit's camouflage. The material rippled and changed, becoming the exact color and texture of the alien ship's surface. "Team check," she whispered into her communication device. 5 voices responded, confirming they were all safely attached to the ship. "Cutting. Entry point now," said Sergeant Dae-hyun, using a silent laser tool to cut through the hull. Captain Taewon watched from the Dauntless as the small dots that were the stealth pods disappeared against the alien ship's surface. "May your ancestors guide you," he whispered, using an old Korean blessing. "And may the aliens never see you coming." The first human infiltration of an alien warship had begun, and the Raxicorians, for all their advanced technology, had no idea that their hunters had just become the hunted. Shadow team moved quietly through the air pipes of the big alien ship. Their special suits changed to match everything around them, bending light and hiding heat. The alien sensors could not see them. Major Suyan led the way, following the map they had made from stolen alien messages. Behind her came Lieutenant Junho Shin, the team's computer expert, Sergeant Dae-hyun Yu, who knew how to blow things up, Corporal Micha Kang, the weapons expert, and Privates Kyung-ho Park and Yoon-ji Ryu, both skilled fighters. "Remember," Suyan whispered through their secret earpieces, "we are here to learn about them and break their communication system. Don't fight unless you have no choice." The team nodded or made hand signals to show they understood. They had trained for this kind of mission for years, learning how to move without being seen or heard. Their suits were the best that Earth could make, using materials that could change and electronics that could fool alien machines. They reached a place where the air pipe opened into a big room. Suyan sent out a tiny flying robot, which moved silently as it made a map of the room. The robot showed that about 10 aliens were working at what looked like a planning center. "Perfect," Suyan whispered. "Junho, can you connect to their computer system from here?" The lieutenant nodded and took a special device from his backpack. "Give me 3 minutes." While he worked, the others kept watch. The aliens moved with quick, sure movements. Their hard outer shells made clicking sounds as they talked in their strange language. "I'm in their system," Junho finally said, "downloading their battle plans and ship maps now." Suddenly, one of the aliens stopped moving. It turned its gem-like eyes toward the ceiling. It seemed to feel that something was wrong, even though the human team stayed perfectly still. "They can feel small changes in air movement," Suyan realized. "Nobody move." The alien kept looking, moving right under where they were hiding. It reached a long feeler toward the air vent. Dae-hyun quietly got his knife ready. If the alien found them, they would have to fight. The tense moment felt very long. Then another alien called to the first one, making urgent clicking sounds. The suspicious alien waited, then turned away. Download finished. Junho whispered. I also put a virus in their navigation systems. Suyun nodded. Good. Now for step 2. They kept moving through the air pipes, headed for the communications center. Their information said that breaking it would stop the aliens from calling for help. They came out in a maintenance hallway, their suits quickly changing to look like the metal walls. 2 alien workers were nearby, not knowing humans were there. Kyungho, Yunji, Suyun signaled. Take them out. The 2 soldiers moved quickly and smoothly. Before the aliens could make a sound, they had been knocked out silently. The team dragged the bodies into a storage room. The communications center is through that door, Micha reported, looking at her small computer screen. Heavy security. At least 8 guards. Suyun checked her weapon. Then we do this the hard way. Set up the disruptors and get ready to attack, remember. Even with these suits, we're only invisible until we move too fast or fire a weapon. Daehyun took several small devices from his pack. These EMP bombs will mess up their senses for a short time. Should give us about 15 seconds to act. Make it count, Suyun ordered. On my mark, 3, 2, 1. The EMP bombs went off without a sound, sending electrical waves through the communications room. The alien guards stumbled, their senses temporarily blinded. Shadow team moved in, their hiding suits making them look blurry as they attacked. Suyun took down the first guard with a shot to the spot between its head and chest, one of the few weak places in their hard shells. Daehyun and Junho worked together, their movements smooth and practiced. Within seconds, 6 of the 8 guards were down, but the aliens were strong fighters. One of the remaining guards managed to hit an alarm button before Kyungho could stop it. The room was suddenly filled with flashing red lights. We have company coming, Micha warned, watching the hallway sensors. Many aliens coming from both sides. Suyun made a quick decision. Junho set the bombs on the communications array. Everyone else, defensive positions. Kyungho blocked the east door. Yunji, come with me to the west door. As Junho worked to break the communication system, the others got ready for the coming attack. Their hiding suits changed to match the flashing red emergency lights, making them hard to see among the shadows. The first wave of alien security forces burst through the west door. What they found was confusion. The humans seemed to appear from nowhere, strike with deadly aim, and then disappear again. The aliens' better senses were being overwhelmed by the humans' changing camouflage and unexpected fighting style. Yunji dropped 3 aliens in quick succession, her gun modified to hit their weak joint areas. Suyun moved like a ghost among them, her combat knife finding the weak spots in their armor. On the east side, Kyungho and Daehyun held their position against a growing number of attackers. The alien forces were learning, adjusting their sensors to fight the humans' camouflage. Major, Daehyun called through the earpiece. They're changing their vision settings. They're starting to see us better. Suyun frowned. Junho, status? 30 seconds, the sergeant replied, fingers moving fast over the alien computer. This system is more complicated than we thought. An alien warrior jumped at Micha, its claw narrowly missing her head. She responded with a burst of gunfire that shattered its gem-like eyes. 20 seconds, Junho updated. Almost done. Suyun pressed her command button. Captain Park, we're about to lose our advantage. Start Plan 3. Aboard the UES Dauntless, Captain Taewon got the message and turned to his tactical officer. Lieutenant Hanul, activate Sunburst Protocol. Hanul nodded grimly. Sunburst active, sir. Electromagnetic spectrum modulation in progress. On the alien ship, the aliens suddenly found their sensory systems flooded with mixed-up data. The humans had discovered that the aliens' enhanced vision could be overwhelmed by quick changes in light frequency and brightness. Done, Junho announced. Bomb set, communication system broken. Suyun checked her tactical display. Our exit route is blocked. We need another way out. Daehyun pointed to a maintenance shaft. That leads to the hangar bay. We can steal a shuttle. Move out, Suyun ordered. 30 seconds until the bombs go off. As they retreated, the aliens chased them, but their movements were uncoordinated, hampered by the sensory disruption. The humans' adaptive camouflage, combined with their knowledge of the aliens' biological weaknesses, was working extremely well. They reached the hangar bay, just as the bombs exploded. The explosion shook the ship and alarms sounded throughout the vessel. In the chaos, the team found a small transport shuttle. "Junho, can you fly this thing?" Su-Yan asked. The sergeant looked at the controls. "It's not too different from the simulators we trained on. I can do it." As they prepared to escape, Su-Yan contacted the Dauntless. "Captain, mission accomplished. Communications array destroyed. We need covering fire for escape." "Understood, Major," Taewon replied. "Launching diversionary attack now. Get your team home." The shuttle engines hummed to life. Through the viewports, they could see aliens rushing around the hangar bay in confusion. Some pointed at the shuttle, but by the time they raised their weapons, Junho had the craft moving toward the hangar doors. "Hold on," he warned as he pushed the controls forward. The shuttle shot out into space just as explosions began to bloom across the hull of the alien ship. The UES Dauntless was firing precisely targeted shots, creating maximum confusion while being careful not to hit the escaping shuttle. As they flew toward the human ship, Su-Yan looked back at the alien vessel. Its lights were flickering and its movements seemed erratic. Without their communication system, they couldn't coordinate their forces effectively. "They really didn't expect this," Daehyun said, looking at the data they had stolen. "According to these files, they've never faced a species that used adaptive camouflage before." Su-Yan nodded. "They evolved as top predators. They never needed to hide. But humans, we were prey before we were hunters. We learned to disappear, to blend in, to strike from shadows." The shuttle docked with the Dauntless, and Captain Taewon was waiting for them when they disembarked. "Well done, Shadow Team," he said with a rare smile. "The intelligence you gathered will help us plan our next move, and the destruction of their communications array has thrown their fleet into chaos." As they walked to the debriefing room, Taewon added quietly to Su-Yan, "The aliens made a critical mistake." "What's that?" she asked. "They thought technological superiority was enough," he replied. "They forgot that sometimes the most dangerous predator is the one you never see coming." The EMP charges detonated silently, sending electromagnetic pulses through the communications chamber. The Raxicorian guards staggered, their sensory systems temporarily overloaded. Shadow Team moved in, their mimetic suits blurring their outlines, as they attacked. Su-Yan took down the first guard with a targeted shot to the joint between its head and thorax, one of the few vulnerable points in their exoskeletons. Do-Hyun and Jae-Hwa worked in tandem, their movements fluid and practiced. Within seconds, 6 of the 8 guards were neutralized, but the Raxicorians were formidable opponents. One of the remaining guards managed to activate an alarm before Hyunwoo could silence it. The chamber was suddenly bathed in pulsing red light. "We've got company," Min Seo warned, monitoring the corridor sensors. "Multiple hostiles approaching from both directions." Su-Yan made a split-second decision. "Jae-Hwa, plant the charges on the array. Everyone else defensive positions. Hyunwoo, seal the east entrance. Yunha with me on the west." As Jae-Hwa worked to sabotage the communications array, the others prepared for the inevitable counterattack. Their mimetic suits shifted to match the pulsing emergency lights, making them difficult to distinguish from the shadows. The first wave of Raxicorian security forces burst through the western entrance. What they encountered was confusion. The humans seemed to materialize from nowhere, striking with deadly precision before disappearing again. The aliens' superior sensory capabilities were being overwhelmed by the humans' adaptive camouflage and unconventional tactics. Yunha dropped 3 aliens in quick succession, her rifle modified to target their vulnerable joint areas. Su-Yan moved like a ghost among them, her combat knife finding the weak points in their armor. On the eastern side, Hyunwoo and Do-Hyun held their position against a growing number of attackers. The alien forces were adapting, adjusting their sensors to counter the humans' camouflage. "Major," Do-Hyun called through the comms. "They're recalibrating their visual spectrum. We're becoming more visible to them." Su-Yan cursed under her breath. "Jae-Hwa status?" 30 seconds, the sergeant replied, fingers flying over the interface. This system is more complex than we anticipated. A Raxicorian warrior lunged at Mincio, its clawed appendage narrowly missing her head. She responded with a burst of fire that shattered its faceted eyes. 20 seconds, Jaehua updated. Array is almost compromised. Suyan keyed her command frequency. Captain Park, we're about to lose our advantage. Initiate Phase 3. Aboard the UES Dauntless, Captain Tae-Wan received the message and turned to his tactical officer. Lieutenant Hanul, activate Sunburst Protocol. Hanul nodded grimly. Sunburst active, sir. Electromagnetic spectrum modulation in progress. On the Raxicorian ship, the aliens suddenly found their sensory systems flooded with contradictory data. The humans had discovered that the Raxicorians' enhanced vision could be overwhelmed by rapid changes in light frequency and intensity. Done, Jaehua announced. Charges set, communications array compromised. Suyan checked her tactical display. Extraction route compromised. We need an alternative. Do-hyun pointed to a maintenance shaft. That leads to the hangar bay. We can commandeer a shuttle. Move out, Suyan ordered. 30 seconds until detonation. As they retreated, the Raxicorians pursued, but their movements were uncoordinated. Hampered by the sensory disruption, the humans' adaptive camouflage combined with their knowledge of the aliens' biological weaknesses was proving devastatingly effective. They reached the hangar bay just as the charges detonated. The explosion rocked the ship and alarms blared throughout the vessel. Amid the chaos, the team located a small transport shuttle. Jaehua, can you fly this thing? Suyan asked. The sergeant examined the controls. It's not so different from the simulators we trained on. I can manage. As they prepared for extraction, Suyan contacted the Dauntless. Captain, mission accomplished. Communications array destroyed. Requesting cover fire for extraction. Understood, Major. Tae-Wan replied. Launching diversionary strike now. Get your team home. The shuttle burst from the Raxicorian hangar bay as explosions blossomed across the alien vessel's hull. The UES Dauntless had launched a precision strike, targeting non-critical systems to create maximum confusion while minimizing the risk of destroying the shuttle. Hold on, Jaehua warned as he pushed the unfamiliar controls forward. The shuttle lurched, narrowly avoiding debris from the damaged communications array. Behind them, Raxicorian fighters scrambled to pursue, but their coordination was hampered by the loss of their central communications network. The human assault had been more effective than they had dared hope. Captain Park, Suyan reported. Shadow team is clear. The intelligence package has been secured. Well done, Major. Tae-Wan's voice came through with slight static. Return to base. The next phase of the operation is already underway. At the Lunar Defense Base, Admiral Sung-Hoon Cho reviewed the data transmitted by Shadow Team. The schematics and tactical information they had stolen would be invaluable for the coming battle. Their ships are formidable, he observed to his staff, but their command structure is rigid. They rely too heavily on centralized communication. Colonel Kyung-Min Yang, head of tactical operations, nodded in agreement. The Raxicorians evolved as pack hunters. They operate through collective coordination rather than individual initiative. By disrupting their command hierarchy, we can exploit this weakness. On Earth, production facilities were working around the clock, manufacturing more of the mimetic suits that had proven so effective. The adaptive camouflage technology was being incorporated into everything from individual soldier gear to the hulls of warships. As Shadow Team's shuttle approached the lunar base, Suyan watched the ongoing battle through the viewport. The Raxicorian fleet was in disarray, their formations broken. Human ships, now equipped with the same adaptive camouflage technology, seemed to appear and disappear from the aliens' sensors. They never expected this, Do-hyun said quietly. They thought we would fight conventionally, Suyan nodded. Humanity has been perfecting the art of camouflage since our ancestors painted themselves with mud to hunt mammoths. It's in our blood. The shuttle docked at the lunar base, where Admiral Cho was waiting to greet them personally. Your mission has given us the advantage we need, he told them. The Raxicorian fleet is off balance, now we press the attack. In the command center, holographic displays showed the ongoing space battle. Human ships using the stolen Raxicorian tactical data targeted vulnerabilities in the alien vessels with surgical precision. "They're attempting to regroup," an officer reported, forming a defensive perimeter around their command ship. Admiral Cho studied the display. "They still think in terms of conventional warfare. Captain Park, is the Dauntless in position?" "Yes, Admiral," Tae-Wan confirmed. "Strike teams are ready for deployment. Proceed with Operation Phantom," the Admiral ordered. Across the battlefield, human ships launched specialized assault pods. Each contained a team equipped with the mimetic camouflage technology. Their mission: board the Raxicorian vessels and sabotage them from within. Suyan and her team, despite having just returned, were already preparing for their next mission. They were to lead the assault on the Raxicorian flagship. "The aliens think they understand human warfare," Admiral Cho told them. "They have no idea that deception is our oldest weapon." The Raxicorian Supreme Commander, Vexthor, paced the bridge of his flagship with growing agitation. What had begun as a routine conquest was rapidly becoming a military disaster. 3 of his warships had gone dark in the past hour alone, and the human forces seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at once. "How is this possible?" he demanded of his tactical officer. "These humans were supposed to be primitive. Their technology is centuries behind ours." "Unknown, Supreme Commander," the officer replied, mandibles clicking nervously. "Our sensors detect their ships, but when we move to engage, they disappear." On the other side of the bridge, hidden in plain sight, Major Su-Yan and Lieutenant Do-hyun watched the aliens' confusion. Their mimetic suits had adapted perfectly to the environment, rendering them virtually invisible to the Raxicorian sensory systems. They had boarded the flagship during the chaos of battle, using the intelligence gathered from their previous mission to navigate its complex interior. Now they were witnessing firsthand the collapse of the alien command structure. "Targeting systems compromised," a Raxicorian technician reported. "Communications with the fleet fragmented. We are receiving contradictory tactical data." Vexthor slammed a clawed appendage onto the command console. "Find the source of this interference. Deploy security teams to all critical systems." Suyan signaled to Do-hyun. It was time to complete their mission. They moved silently toward the ship's central power core, their movements timed with the activities of the alien crew to avoid detection. Throughout the flagship, other members of Shadow Team were similarly engaged. HFY was in the weapons control center, carefully installing a virus that would render the ship's formidable armaments useless. Min Seo had infiltrated the life support systems, preparing to give the aliens a choice between surrender and suffocation. Hyunwoo and Yunha were methodically eliminating key security personnel. As they worked, the larger battle continued outside. The UES Dauntless and its sister ships pressed their advantage, using the tactical data provided by Shadow Team to anticipate and counter the Raxicorians' moves. Captain Tae-Wan coordinated the assault from the Dauntless. "Status report on the infiltration teams." "Shadow Team has reached their objectives," Commander Ji-hoon reported. "Teams Omega and Delta are in position on the secondary warships. Team Sigma reports resistance on the cruiser Vanguard." Tae-Wan nodded. "Tell them to hold position. Once Shadow Team completes their mission, the flagship's defenses will be compromised." In the power core of the Raxicorian flagship, Suyan and Do-hyun placed specialized charges at key junction points. These were not conventional explosives but advanced disruption devices designed to overload the ship's systems without destroying it. "Charges set," Do-hyun confirmed. "Detonation in 3 minutes." "Good," Suyan replied. "Signal the others. Time to withdraw to the extraction point." As they made their way through the ship, alarms suddenly blared. A Raxicorian security team had discovered one of their devices. "All units," Vexthor's voice echoed through the ship. "Intruders detected. Activate full spectrum scanning. Find them." The Raxicorians were finally adapting to the human tactics, adjusting their sensors to detect the subtle distortions caused by the mimetic suits. But it was too late. Suyan and her team converged on the hangar bay, engaging in brief but intense firefights when detection was unavoidable. Their knowledge of Raxacorian vulnerabilities made their attacks devastatingly effective. 1 minute to detonation, Do-hyun warned as they secured a shuttle. "Everyone aboard," Soo-yeon ordered. "Jae-hwa, get us out of here." The shuttle launched just as the first charges detonated. Throughout the flagship, systems failed in cascading sequence. Power fluctuations, communications breakdowns, weapons malfunctions. The mighty vessel was being crippled from within. On the bridge, Vexthor watched in helpless rage as his ship's functions shut down one by one. The view screen showed the human shuttle escaping, but he had no weapons to stop it. "Supreme Commander," his second-in-command approached. "We have no choice. We must surrender." Vexthor's faceted eyes dimmed in defeat. "Send the signal. All vessels, stand down." Aboard the Dauntless, Captain Taewon received the surrender transmission. "Alert Admiral Cho," he instructed. "The Raxacorian fleet has surrendered." As Shadow Team's shuttle returned to the Dauntless, Soo-yeon looked out at the disabled alien vessels. "They never understood what they were fighting," she said quietly. "What do you mean?" Min-seo asked. "The Raxacorians evolved as apex predators on their world," Soo-yeon explained. "They never needed to hide. But humans, we were prey before we were predators. We learned to disappear, to blend into our surroundings, to strike from the shadows." Do-hyun nodded in understanding. "Our entire history is filled with ambushes, guerrilla tactics, and deception. It's not just our technology, it's in our nature." In the days that followed, the terms of the Raxacorian surrender were negotiated. They had never before encountered a species that had defeated them so thoroughly, and their respect for humanity had grown from dismissal to wary recognition. As Captain Taewon and Major Soo-yeon presented the victory report to the United Earth Council, they emphasized the lesson that had been learned. The Raxacorians believed that superior technology and physical strength would ensure their victory, Taewon concluded. They failed to understand that adaptation, innovation, and the ability to disappear in plain sight have always been humanity's greatest weapons. The council chamber erupted in applause. Humanity had faced its first extraterrestrial threat and emerged victorious, not through overwhelming force, but through the subtle art of invisibility that was woven into their very nature. In the audience, Admiral Cho leaned toward Colonel Yang. "Spread the word through the diplomatic channels," he said quietly. "Let any other species with conquest in mind know what happened here." The message would travel across the stars. The aliens had no idea how deadly human camouflage could be. And now, they never would again. The end.